Hey everyone, welcome to The Explainer. So if you're getting tired of those pricey cloud AI APIs, and let's be real, constantly worrying about where your sensitive data is actually going, you're absolutely in the right place. Today we're going to walk through a really fascinating step-by-step process. We're building a completely private localized AI stack, and we're doing it right on an Eka Sunucu Windows VPS. Let's get into it.
Okay, let's dive right into this builder's journey. Here's the plan. First up, preparing your Windows VPS. Then we'll install the Ollama backend, test out the Gemma 3 model, configure Python and UV, launch the Open-WebUI, and wrap up by looking at the complete local AI stack.
All right, Phase 1, preparing your Windows VPS. Let's look at hardware and permissions.
Before we actually install anything, we need to verify a few things. Specifically, our Windows Server 2022 OS, along with our CPU and RAM availability. Now, you might be wondering, wait, don't I need some massive, ridiculously expensive GPU to run AI locally? Well, the really great news is absolutely not. These lightweight models can run incredibly efficiently just on your CPU. That makes a standard VPS totally viable for this kind of setup.
But, to get everything running smoothly, system permissions are key. Opening up Windows PowerShell as an administrator is literally the most crucial first step here. If we skip this part, well, we just won't have the necessary access rights for all the automated installs we're about to do, and the whole build will fail right out of the gate. So definitely don't forget that.
Moving on to step 2, installing the Ollama backend, which is our local AI engine. Now, what's really interesting about this part is just how simple modern deployment has gotten. I mean, look at this single string of PowerShell. Just by executing this one simple command, your system reaches out, grabs the install script, and completely initiates the Ollama download and deployment all on its own. It's almost too easy.
So once you hit enter, you're going to see that progress bar just fly across the terminal. And then there it is, that vital message we're waiting for, install complete. Seeing this means our backend service is officially deployed onto our Windows server. We're in business.
Of course, we're not just going to assume it worked, right? We have to verify it. So, if we open up a browser and navigate to localhost on port 11434, we get this nice simple text confirmation that says Ollama is running. This is basically how we confirm the backend is actively listening before we even think about downloading a model for it to process.
All right, on to step 3. We're testing the Gemma 3 model with a quick CPU inference check.
Here we're going to pull down the Gemma 3 270M model. You might ask, why the specific one? Well, it's incredibly lightweight. It clocks in at just about 291 megabytes. You can see how fast that download is going. Because it's so compact, it's absolutely ideal for our initial CPU-only testing.
And this brilliantly illustrates our first major win. After getting the model running, we throw a test prompt at it. Here, we're testing its multilingual logic with a bit of Turkish text, and it responds perfectly. Think about that. We're successfully generating AI text locally right there in the terminal. Your data literally hasn't left the building. How cool is that?
Okay, let's pivot to step 4, configuring Python and UV, getting those front-end prerequisites sorted out.
So to build out our graphical web interface, we need a very specific runtime environment. The prep work basically comes down to 3 steps. First, we install Python version 3.11.9. Second, we have to inject Python into our environment variables. And third, we install a highly isolated package manager called UV, made by Astral, which is going to ensure our front end stays perfectly stable.
Let's take a closer look at that Python setup. Check out the advanced options window here. I really need to emphasize how absolutely crucial it is to check that Add Python to Environment Variables box. Honestly, if you miss this, your server literally won't know how to find or execute the Python scripts we're going to need later on, so double check that one for sure.
Now with Python safely in our path, we jump back to PowerShell to install that UV package manager. This tool is just fantastic. It lets us safely launch Open-WebUI in a completely isolated environment. That's super important because it guarantees we won't accidentally break any of the other tools running on our Windows server.
Which brings us to section 5. Time to launch Open-WebUI, the GUI deployment phase.
All right, this is where the real magic happens. We define our data directory path, and then we run our launch command, basically telling the system to use Python 3.11 for Open-WebUI. A quick heads up though, when you do this yourself, the very first run will take a few extra minutes. It has to securely download all its web dependencies and build the local databases, so just be patient.
Your terminal is going to scroll through a ton of text pretty fast, but keep your eyes peeled. When you spot that specific log message saying started server process, you can finally take a breath. That's the exact milestone that tells us our front end is completely alive and ready to go.
And finally, Section 6, checking out our complete local AI stack, fully private, fully secure.
So, the moment of truth has arrived. By pointing your browser to localhost on port 8080, you get greeted by this beautiful, sleek, dark-themed interface just waiting for you to create the first admin account. I mean, it looks and feels exactly like the cloud AI services you're already used to, but this one, it's running entirely locally on your own hardware.
And just like that, our build is complete. Now that you've got a completely private, localized AI stack running securely on your own Eka Sunucu VPS, the possibilities are pretty much endless. Your data is finally yours again. So I have to ask, what sensitive data workflows are you going to automate first? Thanks so much for joining me for this